You're listening to The Whole Truth, a Resources Rising Stars podcast.
Hello and welcome to The Whole Truth podcast. I'm Paul Armstrong. I've been talking to Luke Hampson. He's the Managing Director of Nimy Resources. Nimy's just announced a maiden resource for its gallium discovery in Western Australia. You may recognise the word gallium. It is one of the very hot metals that's currently the subject of the agreement between Albanese and Trump. And he says to us that he's definitely putting his hand up for some of those billions of dollars that Trump and Albanese said they would happily supply to Australian critical minerals projects. The maiden resource is 700 tonnes or more of gallium right in the heart of Western Australia. Timing's everything in business, so Luke's discovery and the resource seems like perfect timing. The question is, how do they continue to grow this and unlock the value of what is a very significant discovery right at a time when the world wants gallium? The market's dominated by China, hence Trump and Albanese are trying to find some alternative sources. Luke says Nimy's got a substantial amount of it already, huge potential for growth, and the company has some very promising copper prospects on its books as well. As Luke tells us, next year is going to bring some fascinating drilling programs. Luke, you must feel like the man of the moment. You've got 700 odd tonnes of something the world desperately wants.
Yeah, it's a good result. High grade, which is what we're after. So 740 tonnes of gallium in a world that is dominated by Chinese supply.
In a world that's screaming out for gallium.
Yeah, and no longer exists that supply at this point in time. So the timing's good. And to get the JORC out, as quickly as we have really, given, we only really found the gallium a year and a bit ago, is a good result.
I mean, gallium is, alongside the rare earths, one of those critical minerals that just had, the US president stand up and say, we really want these metals from Australia. It was recognised as playing a key role in the whole lovely peace agreement between Trump and Albanese. You turn up weeks later with 740 tonnes of containing gallium in the heart of Western Australia. Talk about right on cue. But the market's trying to get its head around this, isn't it? It is with all these critical minerals. What is 740 tonnes of gallium worth? Can you answer that question?
I can try. Well, there's a big variation, isn't there? What you're seeing with explorers at the moment, a lot of guys have got rare earths and they're tacking the gallium on, which is fair enough. What we've done specifically is to go after high grade. So 102 grams per tonne is what our resource is. Now,
let's examine that statement, because you say high grade. The problem is if you put out a gold resource and you said the grade of the gold resource is 5.5 grams, everyone would say, yeah, unquestionably high grade, well-recognised currency.
Yeah.
102 grams per tonne of gallium, you say is high grade. How do you establish that it's high grade?
Well, not that there's a lot of people producing JORC resources for gallium.
And therein lies the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, but the ones that you look at are typically, 30 to 50 is what we've seen. So we're double really what else we can find. And there was a bit of literature going back 15 years or something where 100 was described as high grade.
Right, yeah. So by any measure that you can find, it's one of the highest, if not the highest, gallium resource grades in the world.
Yes.
Right. So hence you arrived at 740 tonnes of this. So back to the question then. What is it worth? How do you ascertain a price of value for this?
Well, that's the interesting part about what is really an emerging market for a critical metal that no one really knows too much about because it's fairly opaque. The consistent pricing that we've found is around, at the moment, I think this morning is about $1,260 a kilo US was the pricing. Right, and that's gone up substantially since, when was it, August 2023, when the first Chinese export ban was announced. So we've used that really as the, I suppose, the touch point to work back and see how economic we're going to be, because we're at the very genesis of this, if you like, but we've been very busy in the background. So we've had mineralogy testing and reports put together by CSIRO. We've had Curtin look at the processing and leaching and we've appointed Tony Tang, who's a well-regarded and renowned extractive metallurgist, with a good background in gallium. In fact, prior to coming to us, he was at Curtin. So, working through what is the critical path to get this to market, we've got the right studies, the right people around it. So we've got a lot of confidence in establishing that critical path. So there's a number of opportunities, if you like, to work out when is the product right for market. The first bit that we're looking at is producing a high-grade concentrate. And then it'll work all the way through to what's the finished product.
So coming back to that question, in in-ground value, you would say you've got 740 tonnes. You can't say this because the ASX will crawl all over you, but essentially it's 740 tonnes of product at $1,200 US dollars a tonne. So that makes it a very valuable resource, particularly compared to your market cap, which is what, circa
mid-20s?
Yeah. So the question then becomes, right, two questions. Can you grow this resource?
Yeah, absolutely we can.
This was your maiden resource. Now you've said it's open. Is that correct?
That it is.
And you've also identified that by virtue of the fact that, you haven't drilled it out, but also you've got geophysical targets and evidence to suggest it continues.
Yep.
And there's scope for new standalone deposits nearby.
Yep.
So is part of the strategy here to grow this and say to the market, yeah, okay, we've got a great start here, but we could have a whole lot more of this very, very valuable metal?
Yeah, absolutely. What we're establishing is an exploration template. So by publishing an inferred resource, we've got the components of that template there, and that's what we're repeating. So we've got exploration targets. I think the high end of that is 26 million tonne at 100 grams per tonne, the high end. And that's only a small portion outside of the footprint that we've actually just drilled, right? So across that, the footprint for the resource is 0.4 square kilometres, and the target area is 30 square kilometres. And we've done a lot of soil sampling across it. I think 350 soil samples, where the mean gallium was 22 grams per tonne, just gallium. So you move that up for oxide. So we've established that there's a large footprint of anomalous gallium in soils outside of what we just drilled.
So it's possible you could have multiples of this 740 tonnes of contained gallium.
Absolutely. And what's happening right now as we speak, and we've announced this, we're getting airborne magnetics over Block 3, so a large grid, which is that whole 30 square kilometres, and we're looking for high magnetic responses with anomalous soil samples over the top. So we'll have more exploration targets on top of what we've just put out.
So when do we see some more drilling here?
I'd say in the new year. So we've got a busy period coming up to Christmas now, because we'll have soil samples, we'll have the results back from the magnetic survey, so we'll be able to delineate where the next targets are within that 30 square kilometres.
And presumably in parallel with this, you're continuing to do the metallurgical work. I mean, this stuff is obviously needs a very forensic assessment, doesn't it?
That's right, yeah.
But you've got good met results so far. You've got high recoveries.
Yep.
So it's all manageable from a processing side?
It is. And again, as I alluded to a little bit earlier, it's where in the process is there a saleable product, which will then...
Yeah, how far down the food chain do you want to go?
That's right. So,
are you a mining company or are you a very specialised processor? I mean, these critical metals and the like, these specialised metals, they become chemistry sets, don't they? They're not mining. They're bolt-ons to mining.
Yeah, at this point, yeah. Most of the ones in the world, they're byproducts of bauxite or zinc mining, and that I think we are one of the few that are leading with gallium as a standalone resource. Having said that, we did report rare earths, which are quite healthy with it.
So you're going to continue doing more of the met work, working out a flow sheet?
Yeah.
And prepare for the next round of drilling.
Yeah.
So the question becomes here, going back to our initial commentary about the US president, have you put your hand up for a big chunk of this $13 billion, this headline figure that's kicking around?
Oh, look, our efforts in that direction started 12 months ago with M2I Global, that agreement.
So is it real money? Have you ever discovered yet whether it's real money?
Well, it's not in the pocket yet, Paul, but this is a process you've got to go through.
I would have thought, given what's just been, what Albanese's just been trumpeting, that they would be coming at you armed with a checkbook.
Well, now that we've published the resource, I think that's very possible.
Yes, that was the key criteria, wasn't it? You
I
had to
think
have a
so.
resource.
Yeah, I think so.
So you must be in the game now. You must be in the box seat to say, hey, we want a slice of that money.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're knocking on doors in Canberra?
It's more about the US and Europe at this point in time. And we have met with DFAT representatives probably a year ago. So it's sort of piecing itself together geopolitically, if you like. Most of the pushes the inquiries come out of the US and Europe to us. The announcement that Prime Minister Albanese and President Trump came out with around the critical metals and specifically around gallium and the investment in Western Australia was really interesting to us because it sort of opens up another avenue, possibly. We haven't spoken to Alcoa, and, those plans are pretty high level at the moment. But I would have thought producing a high-grade gallium concentrate might be attractive to those guys.
Yeah, well, the gallium that comes with the bauxite is obviously low grade. Logic would suggest, for what it's worth, that if you were able to give Alcoa a high-grade feed to supplement that, obviously there's a caveat there about the metallurgy being suitable, but that high-grade feed normally does a hell of a lot to boost the economics of a low-grade operation.
It does sound like it's compatible, doesn't it, Paul?
Yeah, right. So you got that. Now let's just have a quick look at also because the copper, because within Nimy, copper and nickel were what you started life as, and that's really how you virtually stumbled across the gallium, wasn't it? In exploring for copper, north of Southern Cross here.
Yeah.
So the gallium deposit, the Block 3 as it's now known, is actually part of the wider Mons project.
Yeah.
Where you were looking for copper and came across the gallium.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, I know mining executives don't like to say this, but there's no shortage of great discoveries that were made by sheer accident. I think Sandfire's great copper discovery being one of the more obvious ones of recent times.
Yeah.
So if you look at, you're looking for copper, so the copper exploration program's alive and well.
Oh, we think we've got two really live prospects there, the Maiden prospect and Sneaky Squirrel. So both of those have come up pretty well in the drilling, and they are also having airborne magnetics flown over them. So we expect early next year, that we'll be drilling holes in both of those.
Now, when you say you like them, why do you like them?
Well, I'll start with Maiden, right? Because, and that, again, everyone's heard this story, but we did the big VTEM survey. That's the first target, and the second one was Block 3 that we went to, and both of them we've been able to. Well, Block 3, we did hit some massive sulphides out to the west, carrying low levels of copper gold. So it's still live, Block 3, for potentially copper gold. Maiden, we look like we're in a pipe or some sort of conduit to something potentially bigger. Hence why we've gone with the airborne magnetics closer space, get a really good look underground what's going on. Following that, more than likely we'll put a gravity survey over that as well. But that was really promising. We got good copper, good nickel, PGEs were good. But again, it's a pipe. We're looking for a reservoir there somewhere. And the magnetics and potentially the gravity should lead us to that. We think we know where it is, but we want more surety. So
when will you be drilling more holes in search of copper?
Well, as I said, we got a busy period leading up to Christmas in deciding what that strategy is going to look like when the magnetics are in, when the soils could be doing extended soils over Maiden and Sneaky Squirrel as well. And we should have targets to drill early in the new year along with extending the high-grade gallium.
So you're going to be pursuing the gallium at the same time as you look for the copper at Maiden and Sneaky Squirrel.
Yeah. And that's the strategy we've had all along.
Yeah. So there's no shortage of action in the new year.
No.
Right.
No.
Now, copper's also on the critical minerals list as it happens. So, So again, another excuse. I mean, you have to say there's got to be some money coming over the rabbit-proof fence in your direction, doesn't there?
Well, you'd hope so. We just in terms of what money we've got on hand, we just recently did the SPP, which was really successful. So we've got a fair amount of money in the bank, if you like, to conduct the upcoming exploration program. So pretty healthy in that regard. It'll be. See, I really like Sneaky Squirrel, and that's the third one I suppose that people talk about. But that's a big exposed gossan. copper, zinc. We've got a quartz vein, which we've reported this, which had up to, I think, 0.8 grams per tonne gold in it, sitting alongside it. Did 4 exploratory holes, if you like, and we've hit the copper zinc mineralisation underneath the gossan. So if we're running this effectively like we're exploring Golden Grove. So everything that we've seen so far, the type of gossan, the early drilling, the gold, and the gold's got a bit of silver with it as well, all lines up that way. So that's the analogy, if you like, that we're using. Hence why we've gone over that with a high mag survey as well. Because what we did discover in the downhole was that the mineralised areas are really magnetic. So it won't be the zinc, but the copper, probably high levels of magnetite in there. That was really magnetic, stood out. So the magnetic survey, what we're looking for there is a concentration of a high magnetic body, which we expect to find somewhere underneath the drilling that we've just done.
Right. So there's multiple drilling programs obviously coming this way.
Yep.
Discussions with Canberra. Now, you do have a bit of an arrangement with a US group in terms of the gallium offtake. Is that still alive? And you
still
want to pursue that?
Yeah. I had a bit of a hiccup with the shutdown over in the US.
Yeah, the US government shut down,
Yeah, nothing getting processed, but we expect to get some momentum on that.
Now that group, M2?
M2I.
M2I. Yeah. So they have arrangements as a effectively a broker or a commodities trader to supply the US defence industry with these sorts of metals.
It's an interesting group. Most of the personnel there appear to have military backgrounds. So they're looking for critical metals to secure the supply of critical metals into the US. And I think they're using, I suppose, those relationships to understand the logistics around that, the funding, all that sort of stuff. So
they've been briefed on the resource?
Yeah. So, and they were obviously waiting to see that result. That result's there now. The US government's open again. So I expect to see some progress there in the next couple of weeks.
Gee, there's plenty happening. It's you've made your own action from absolutely nothing. This is a company that you floated and obviously, so you've fantastic to have a gallium discovery like this is obviously huge. You can see the market's trying to digest this. And there'll be a penny dropping moment at some stage where the market suddenly, for some probably unknown reason, takes a view that or recognises that, hey, this is a very substantial discovery, highly valuable.
Yep.
And the demand is obviously going to be enormous as you progress it. So, look, well done, and congratulations on getting a maiden gallium resource. I mean, if timing's everything in business, your timing's spectacular. Mm-hmm. I'm sure the market would love to see growth in it, and as you demonstrate, there's more to come, even better. And the market would love, obviously, more of the offtake arrangements. But I think in the short term, obviously, the prospect that you're going to get some money from Canberra will also be very welcome.
Yeah, that would be good.
Government handouts are always music to investors' ears. Well done, great news. Let's have a chat again in the new year when the drilling starts up.
Sure.
Thanks, Luke.
Thanks, Paul.
You've been listening to The Whole Truth, a Resources Rising Stars podcast, produced by Resource Media, hosted by Paul Armstrong for Reed Corporate. Please note that Reed Corporate does not provide investment advice, and investors should seek personalised advice before making any investment decisions.